Hello and welcome over to NLC Division 2. We are back on this fine Tuesday. I am Carvis, and tonight we have a new guest joining me, Makaria. Welcome to the NLC.
Hello, Carvis. Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, so am I, because we are going to have a good two games between me and Makaria. And the first one that we have for you tonight is Blue-White against K5, where Blue-White is the full Finnish team, of which country I am a happy representative of, and it will be their first game today. And I hear that you're at least a little bit familiar with this team.
Yes, to be honest, I watch loads of NLC, well, in the last couple of years, and I've got some familiar names in the rosters, which I'm really happy about. I'm so curious what's going to happen in these games, to be honest, because the way I see it right now is the league is not very diverse in terms of the strength so far. I mean, it's only like 3-4 games that were concluded, but it's really, I would say it's pretty hard to guess who's the favorites in each matchups.
Yeah, even with currently 0-3 teams in standings like G2 who you will see later today, have brought all of their games to the 40-50 minute marks. They've been absolute bloodbaths. So there's still a great chance to see upsets, like K5 managed to upset Chaos in the 8K gold comeback in our previous NLC streams. So definitely a strong matchup between the teams today. 1-1 for Blue-Whites, missing one game compared to K5.
Yes, obviously they have the option to reschedule if I'm correct, and that's why Blue-Whites played one game less. But K5 sitting 1-2 standings indicates that they do know how to win games, and that's a good start.
It is, and what is a good start is this draft as well, as we go into a Caliban targeting Vantage. The main assassin to carry K5 into victory against Chaos previously, and Karma we are on patch 14.2. But Karma is
just like Rumble on the other side. Right away, curious if but instead they go for the 4.
No.
Yeah, the thing is, what
Corky is the best champion in the game. I'm not just gonna let you tell me otherwise. But yeah, Corky getting taken out. Maybe what passes that he has been part of for ages. To be one of the main initiators is the chance to Corky with the package offers so much great and objective control, even instantly winning fights. He gets a nice one off. Lilian now trying to take it away. There's a bunch of good first picks.
definitely taking the, I would say, 2 strongest junglers out. Blue-Whites for the option to maybe go for an early Varus or an AD carry pick that's pretty strong in the current meta. Kalista or the Ezreal, which I'm really happy about. Seeing Dragner sharing so much in-depth information about Ezreal, he's currently low-key broken.
Yeah, Ezreal, one of the better AD carries on this patch. It's still quite difficult getting to work in competitive where he's able to coordinate around the power spikes a little bit better than his solo queue. But Stormy, the new AD carry of Blue-Whites, is a Finnish prodigy who never really showed up on the international stage, noted for his skill of this champion. But meanwhile, K5 instantly responds with the Aphelios.
Straight up Nathelios and Rel, who's good flex pick. So we can't really tell some reason K5 locked in Brand. And you know, when you sent me a nice little overall information pack about the teams, and I was searching myself as well, I was pretty surprised. Every single player has got some nice pocket picks, and because they just basically at the edge of the big league. Let's be honest. I mean, it's Division 2 at the end of the day. They can go to the big league any day. They have some nice picks, and this is the thing where it gets hard to predict what are they going to pick. But I'm really happy to see the Brand, and well, eventually we get to see Aphelios Rel bot lane. How are they gonna touch Ezreal? How are they gonna deal any damage to Ezreal? I'm really curious about, because Ezreal has got the range advantage as we got the second phase of the bans coming through.
There is also a chance that we do not know where every single champion on K5 is going, because as a mid laner myself, and a decent mid laner at that, I have some matchup knowledge of Brand against Azir being very good for Brand. So it may still end up being that this Rel is in the jungle, Brand mid, and then they're saving some sort of support counter pick, maybe. Milio, for example, still open if they want some sort of a cleanse to come in. Again, the Renata still an option. While Blue-Whites, they do not expect this Brand to be going mid, focusing entirely on the Yone Tristana. And there's the Zed!
Okay, now it's getting chaotic at this point, because as you said, Blue-Whites were not expecting the Brand mid. Well, were they expecting the Zed mid at this stage of the draft? And to be honest, could it be a Brand support at the end?
True.
Because that's also an option right now. Okay, let's see what Blue-Whites picking next. They need a support and a top laner, obviously. And so far, it looks like a decent meta team comp on their side.
Yeah, Yuri is probably the heaviest rock that is unmovable up on the top side of the map. It is just extremely strong up until like level 12, where he starts to fall off a little bit due to the lack of damage. But until then, the insane menace of a lane bully just can't really get rid of him. While the Senna now being hovered, yep, it will be the Senna lock-in. So double range on the bot side of the map, trying to bully the Aphelios out of the lane. They have full information for this R5. Should be the top lane, but with the Zed lock-in, I have no idea anymore.
Yeah, this is the point. It could be Zed top, Zed mid. It could be Brand on 3 different lanes. Also Rel on 2 different positions. So I'm curious what is going to be the last pick. And then we can try to guess who's going where. Okay, so that's at least that one is for sure a Darius top lane.
It is. And now it's just a question of where is this Zed going and where is this Brand going. They can be played either way. Zed has a surprisingly good jungle clear. It's just that he lacks the CC that Brand does provide. And looks like this is the expected roles that we were alluding to once we saw the Zed. And team comp-wise, Blue-Whites look really interesting.
Blue-Whites look like they want to win in style. They can play either super strong lane bully bot lane and win through that. They can play an all-in style of comp with Vi and Azir diving in and Udyr following them. Or they can just outscale eventually this K5 team comp, where I want to see some big things from this Zed. Because I feel like if Zed can pop off and maybe shut down the Senna or the Ezreal, then K5 has got good chances of winning team fights. Otherwise, it will be a bit tough.
Yeah, and I think the key word here for K5 is they're trying to outbutton their opponents. They want to express their own laning prowess. They want to express, we are the better individual players and we have the champions to do it with. Only having the Aphelios down in the bot lane scaling, but even paired up with the Rel, they can look for the aggressive plays with the Brand, with the Zed rotating over and go for early dives and early dragons.
Exactly. Now, the big question is, how are they gonna work around the map? Because obviously bot lane is in trouble, I would say. Against a Senna and against an Ezreal, you can't really trade with poor Rel. I mean, Rel is jumping in, and if she's not hitting the CC, then she has no way out. Also, Aphelios is not the strongest in the first few levels. So I would say blue whites definitely need to think and play around the bot lane, at least for the early game. And then obviously K5 has got the other side of the map, so they can try and maybe bully the Udyr a bit on top side, or just focus on mid lane as well. Because with Brand, it's quite easy to gank as you said, as long as there is some kind of setup for him, if he can provide it. Now, I don't know if a Zed can provide a good setup for a
Is
gank.
it
I would say
slow?
no. Maybe, yeah, he is a slow, but okay, to be fair, I think Zed is the champion I played against the least because I always ban him on mid lane. That's the only reason. I really love that we have a ban, and that's Zed for me when I play mid lane, but I know the champion of that. It's pretty hard for him to set up ganks, but also he can just one-shot anyone.
Exactly. For me personally, Katarina has been not seen in my games since.
Understandable.
I think it's been since season 5 or 4 since the last time I saw Katarina in my solo queue games. So one of those assassins, similar type of thing. You can get one shot instantly, but doesn't really provide additional setup. We're just gonna have to see. For example, does the brand bring Ghost instead of Flash? Some brands have been utilizing that to get into the face of the enemies and have some extra mobility in those team fights on a lower cooldown than the Flash.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And also, same thing goes about the top laners. If we get to see Darius with Flash and Ghost, or maybe we get to see some cheesy Ignite, for example. We've seen that before as well. Could provide some great opportunities.
And so seems like we're ready to go to the Rift for game 1 of today. NLC Division 2 continues with Blue Whites against K5. Blue Whites looking to move their score over to the positives, while K5 evening things out on a win. For level 1 though, I don't think we're gonna see a lot happening.
You sure? Are
They
you
have
sure?
K5 has 2 glorified cannon minions in Zed and Aphelios.
I mean, yes, for level 1, I agree. But what happens when they reach level 3? Because as soon as the brand and Zed has got level 3, they have opportunities to just hold hands, walk in the enemy jungle, and try to punish Yones just being there.
It is an aggressive option they can go for, but it usually requires for K5 to set up some early vision. Looks like we have some technical difficulties coming back to us for a moment. But yeah, what I was trying to get into is the early vision trait has sort of become a handshake that many teams pull, where you get a ward onto the Raptors, you confirm which side the enemy jungler starts on, and thereon you can either play aggressive on certain lanes or with your jungler if you have mid prio. In this sort of situation, you can't really establish that, no matter which team you are.
That's so true, and that's basically something you need to consider what you want to focus on, because as we mentioned, blue whites can just play for bot side, and if they have strong vision set up on bot side overall, they can just maybe go for a dragon stacking for the long run. That means K5 either agrees to that, and they just go for obviously the top side pressure, giving themselves some side lane push options with this Darius, taking down maybe the grubs. That would be something they can consider as well.
Indeed, it looks like Darius is giving Bollocks some trouble on the top side of the map, seeing if he can find an invade angle. But as we mentioned in draft, this Udyr is a beast in the early game with the empowered Phoenix stance. He can duel pretty much anyone except for Darius.
Yes, I mean, Darius' passive is one of the most broken passives in the game, especially for early levels. He just needs to hit some auto attacks and you bleed out. Can't do so much about him. I guess even in 2v1, what I like is that by having a good rune that will provide some extra damage against this Darius, so there is still a possibility to shut down Starduster if they want to go for a 2v1 on top side.
With pathing, I certainly looking more.
Not for now. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll take at least the jungle pathing turnaround for those aggressive plays to start, probably around the first Void Grub spawn when those will start to come in. But meanwhile, down on the spot lane, K5 just suffering from the poke as his vantage in the mid. The level 3 spike is there, but against an Azir, it's so difficult to find those moments where you can go for the bursts.
Especially when the Azir is stacking up this minion wave so nicely. So credits to Pomo. The first few levels definitely looking good for him. And Vantage needs to find some ways to trade as well if he don't want to lose so many minions. I mean, right now, look at the discrepancy in terms of CS. That's kind of big lead for Azir just after 3.5 minutes.
And with the brand now starting off the Scuttle Crab, there's no help yet. Trying to set up the kill on the top lane, though, as Ball looks is a little overextended, probably just going to suicide the enemy tower to not give a kill away. And that gives Stardust there a little bit of experience. I think he was in range for the pickup, but first blood still yet to be seen.
Exactly, but looks to go for a quick run under the turret. But the thing is, okay, he's not losing the TP, but he's walking out, and if you look at the minion wave, it's still not in his favor. So losing out on CS quite a bit. I feel like at this point, we can see K5 is losing on mid lane, but winning on top lane, which is a good sign, because if they want to go for this split push Darius, then Darius needs to win the early game and need to be a big threat on side lanes or even in team fights as well.
And even establishing priority on the top side gives them the option of denying the grubs from blue-white. Imagine this Israel Senna in the later stages of the game with 5 or 6 of those collected. They will be melting towers and pushing with the additional mites to help with. It's nothing K5 wants to deal with. Expecting once these level 6s start to come in for the Zed, for the Bran, to heavily start pressuring the top side of the map, even with the bot lane probably rotating over eventually as Drizenko starts to move towards mid lane.
Definitely, they need to make sure on the side of K5 that they do have good vision set up, either for the grubs, as you said, they need to deny it from blue whites, or they need to match the pressure that goes towards the bot side. And I would love to see if K5 actually going for the match style here. But because after he's playing Brand, it's so easy to take down the little grubs with this champion. You know, the passive is just keeps popping around from grub to grub, and you get those juicy stacks.
And they melt like butter. It's
so easy. It's so easy.
Incredibly easy for Brand. The jungle clear is just super fast, but blue eyes don't seem to care. Instead, they're setting up for this bot side play as Vi has rotated over and the wards have been cleared out. No level 6 though, so Crimson and Drizenko can just play back as Jones moves over to the dragon. Vantage of Bomber not even needed to rotate over due to the bot side priority. And even with top lane winning, the CS discrepancy between bot and mid is starting to show.
That's quite big in favor of blue whites, but look at that option. It could be a good
Drizenko, they want Senna. It's falling low. First blood secured by the support, and the dragon left by blue white. Surprise! K5 is there to pick up the pieces and the objective.
I mean, that was a quick reaction from K5. They just arrived in blink of an eye. I mean, what happened here is, you know, the dragon was started by blue whites, but they were doing it so slowly that K5 could even walk out, especially the Brand could just walk out from the base to secure the Drake. Also, the way Drizenko went in, that was beautiful. I mean, using the flash straight up into Ignite and stunning poor Senna, that was just so clean.
Blue White's kind of disrespecting K5 a little bit. They do have a bunch of early game damage if they can get the setup proper. And we could see it here as a Thrush once more. There's almost no summoner spells left on Egget. Exhaust still yet to be used. But here comes Drizenko rooted up, kited backwards. Blue White's dealing a ton of damage back, forcing K5 on the retreat, and they don't even have to give up on this tower push.
That was pretty well done by the Blue-White's bot lane. In a 2v3 situation, they not just came out swinging and winning, they literally sent back Aphrosh to base because he was so low. And look at that trade again. Crimson.
He's dead! Crimson's just dead! The final Mystic Shot barely misses Drizenko. Snurmi and Eget's taking full control of the bot lane.
So Blue-White's basically taking back what's theirs is the bot lane pressure. After winning a 2v3, not getting anyone back to the gray screen, they still went for the 2v2 as well. Obviously, because Snurmi had so much health left, they could just go for it. And even 2 turret plates taken down, that's so much. That's so much for the bot lane of Blue-Whites.
This is why I've been hyping up Snurmi to whoever I can when I heard he's joining Blue-Whites. He will constantly hit you with a thumbs up button, play out of his mind, no matter whether it's in-houses or an official game. This guy, ever since he joined the Finnish scene, has just shown up time and time again whenever he wants to play. K5 showing up in the top lane, though, as Voluksa under the
That's an army.
dive. That is Hex Splash and a stun locked down and killed. Voluksa falls. That's good 2 waves of minions and a plate going over to Stardust.
That's a huge... Okay, wait a second. What's happening here?
Crimson, they're looking for the counterplay. Moonlight Vigil heals him up, had the lifesteal weapon to use it with. On the flank, Aphrosh coming in, could find FOMO, barely dodges away from the W, and gets away.
That was pretty close. However, the topside dive looked pretty good. However, I feel like Blue-Whites took more on bot and mid lane than just lost Udyr on top. Because what happens is, okay, Udyr dies, it's still not the end of the world when Azir and Ezreal can just take a few more turret plates, you know? That's still loads of gold on players who needs it. They need to make sure the late game comes early this time.
And, well, at least compared to the enemies, the late game is approaching pretty fast. Snurmi already level 8, getting... Yeah. The SS Reaver. I think Ezreal goes for SS Reaver nowadays.
I mean, there are different options. I feel like SS Reaver is one of them. Is pretty good because you eventually buy the Navori Quick Blades as well. And with those, you have a decent damage output. So, yeah, I feel like once SS Reaver is completed, that's one of the bigger power spikes. K5 in the meantime taking down the remaining of the grubs.
That's all 6.
6, yep. That will be a little void army, and now I feel like it's a deja vu situation, but this time around Voluksa just clears the minion wave on top side.
There's another one coming though. Voluksa feels that something is wrong here. Why is he shoving the wave in constantly?
I mean, there's the ward.
Oh, well, now
Yeah.
There's a ward. And again, just a ton of plates going over to this Darius, but the rest of the map still slightly in shambles. The CS disadvantage on the Zed and Aphelios, it's not getting close to double just yet, but it's getting there. And with the Zed not really being able to do anything in this early game with the level 6 to 9 power spikes, K5 really needs to start activating on the map.
For sure, especially because what we can't see right now is not just the CS difference between these players, but the goal difference exactly. We can see it now, and that goal difference shows the amount of turret plates and turret gold that Snurmi and Pomo just racking up. Look at
what?
Wait, that was a 1v1. I mean, Snurmi was jumping on Vantage and sending him back to base. Okay, he plays the Porcelain Ezreal, and you know what? This skin gives you extra damage at this stage of the game, because I don't know if you've seen it, but the new Porcelain skins are coming out. I'm sure that's the reason Snurmi picked this skin. You know, see, there's the thumbs up. There's the thumbs up, so for sure.
So, you know what the Porcelain skin also gives you? It gives you the Bongo Cat.
Oh yeah.
One of the best newer dance references in any skin. I love it to death. The only reason why to use that skin. But Stormy, not dancing around, instead throwing the thumbs up, rotating over to the mid lane. Should be able to cause havoc there, as Vantage now going to be stuck clearing this side lane. Has Profane Hydra to help out with it, but needs to be ready to rotate for the upcoming objectives. Herald up in 50 seconds, while there's no vision really from either side there just yet.
Not really. I mean, at this point, we are just over 13 minutes into the game, and I feel like Snurm is so fed. He's looking to complete the Metamune as soon as possible. That should be the second item for this Ezreal. And look at this damage. Only one Mystic shot, and poor Crimson lost about 15% of the Aphelios' health.
The weapon rotation in a fairly awkward spot as well, having the Infernum plus Gravitum. No good combos there for fighting. They're looking for Stardust. That's a big, well, it's not even a shutdown. It's a big kill to get. And easy one at that, as the DPS more than enough. Nashor's Tooth already there. They found Jones though, Frush and Drizenko chasing the Blue-White's jungler behind enemy lines, flashing away with a ball breaker. Instead turns around, running towards his mid laner, but he's more happy to get the farm. In mid lane, AD carries have been traded. Deathmark, I think, was the one to start that off with, but Eggett wins the 2-on-2 eventually, while Jones dies.
This was a pretty intense 1 minute, what we've just seen, and basically one fight was won by Blue Whites. Eggett's managed to survive that. The other one was a 1-for-1 trade on the top side, and with Alfresh being 2-0 at this point of the game, he will soon complete the second item. With the Leandry, that brand will be a real threat. Also, because they shut down Jones, I feel like they can start the Herald, but they do need an army for that. Vantage has got TP if he needs to join the fight.
I don't think they need to. They can just easily secure this with the brand DPS from the passive, from the procs of all the spells, and yeah, that's another objective from the Baron Pit going over to K5, and this will let them eventually make an aggressive play. For example, onto this mid lane outer tower.
Yes, they can try to answer this kind of pressure that Snurmy and Eggets provide. Now, they need to make sure they do set up a good fight for this one. So if they want to use the Herald, they don't just want to place it for the sake of it to have like... Okay, that's a good option. But look at the position of Y. You could get in trouble.
Jones is again way behind enemy lines here in this red side jungle.
Yeah.
This time has Bomber to support him if they collapse further, but on the bot side of the map, Volux has been shoving the wave in this entire time, forcing the TP out of the Z, and now K5 are the ones at the man disadvantage here in this mid lane. The tower is really low, and they found the brand! The brand gets caught out! They chase him down, not having the DPS just yet, but there it is! Drizenko hopping over the wall a little bit late, Crimson now the target, below half HP, Shurima shuffle from Bomber! Vantage joins the fight, pops Snurmy, but it is too late. 2-for-4 trade for Blue White.
Blue White's played is almost perfectly. This trade will end up a good lead for themselves. They can take down the tier 1 after this whole fight. And to be honest, seeing the catch on the brand, it looked already way too good. MK5 was partner in this fight, but they lost eventually. Vantage was the only survival, but I still feel like it's getting a big lead now. I mean, look at the Senna. 3-1-5 with a big shutdown on her head. Also, Pomo is getting kills now. Azir is definitely getting close to that late game stage where he truly destroys anyone with a couple of little shanks, you know, from the soldiers.
And it really feels like it's a triple threat composition between the Ezreal, Senna, and Azir, where even if you use the Deathmark from Vantage to pop the Ezreal, who doesn't get to play the team fight, you still have to somehow deal with the Senna and Azir.
Definitely. So what happens is you have a Zed who can get rid of one of the three threats, but the problem is you need to somehow deal with the other two, and because Aphelios is so behind right now, Crimson can't do near as much damage as Snurmy or Igets on the other side. So right now, I feel like K5 just need to somehow slow down the game, get a bit of scaling, maybe send a Darius on side lane to not just match the Udyr, but maybe get a bit of feed for himself as well. Because we can't really say that K5 has got a carry potential player at this stage, because the brand was shut down, and so far Aprush was the only one I was looking at as a potential leader of the charge.
They need to get a couple more items on Crimson. That's how they came back from their previous deficit, and this is a way to get some gold into everyone's pockets.
Yep.
The objective bounties are on the map. With the charge onto the tower, they are able to easily get the bounty, but Blue White's pressuring mid lane inner tower. Stardust is forced to teleport to provide a front line to his AD carry, but now on the flank, Vantage looking for an angle. There's the two AD carries. Moonlight Vigil goes wide, but now it gets target rooted and exhausted. Still gets the shutdown, but the revenge kill not there. Jones has to flash away. 4 members fighting back. Stardust are now having to run away, but Snortum is still alive and auto attacking. Drizenko and Crimson need to get out of there fast, but it's looking rough as Snormi gets another. Voluxas gets the AD carry. May fall to a brush after a couple more hits.
No!
Never mind. Summoner heal from Snormi keeps his jungler alive, and it ends up being an even 3-for-3 trade. But the objectives, I think, favor K5 a little.
Just a tiny bit, and as you said, Snurmy is literally carrying these fights. I mean, the amount of auto attacks and mystic shots were hits by him, it's insane. Afrush, however, was not very close, obviously. So I feel like there was a bit more for K5 in this fight, but they were still happy that Vantage managed to survive at the end. He was the one who started this whole big bang, and shutting down Egets was a big win. And now we have a little meeting here in the river. And I feel like, yeah, Jones took it.
They get the additional vision. It's a bit of a stalemate again. Neither one of these teams, I think, has the DPS necessary to force down the Baron just yet. And Boluxa isn't that big of a side lane threat compared to this Darius if he was as fed as this Udyr is.
But you know what's the funny thing about it? Udyr has got 2 items, and those 2 items are, I'm not saying they're broken, but they definitely strong. They're definitely strong, so I'm still waiting for Starduster to finish the 2nd item on the Darius, and that's where I would see he is in similar strength to the Udyr. Otherwise, I wouldn't really favor the Darius in this matchup at the moment. Just because the Udyr has got 2 very strong items, with the Frozen Heart and obviously with some extra burning power.
I think, like, as long as K5 can extend this game, get this Aphelios more items, get the Darius frontlining, get additional survivability onto the brand so he doesn't get popped if he gets caught out. It's still playable for K5, mostly because of this one dragon stolen away in this early game. Otherwise, this would be the sole point for Blue Whites.
That is so true. That is so true. And the good thing is, until Egets will have about 120, 140 stacks on the center, it's still very easy to get close to that champion. And because K5 has got a Z amongst their ranks, that Z can shut down. Okay, let's see what happens here. Sonormi in trouble.
Pod out and probably taken down by Afra. Shut down. Gold going over to the jungler. Pommel as well has to peel away, but Vantage is having none of that, forcing the Zarya instantly, but that was a little early. Flash away, stunned up, killed. and K5 are trying to make another miracle comeback happen as they approach the Baron, but again, they're lacking a little bit of DPS. Volks and Jones are in the mid lane, and Eggets lurking around in the shadows. They do start the objective up. Low health bars on 3. Here's Eggets, shows himself and instantly gets run down, but he already took a chunk out of Crimson's HP pool. Jones on the flank, Volux are trying to find a way in with a Phoenix stance, and by ultimate, still not spent. Flash away from the affiliate repositioning, shut down onto the Udyr. They can't get in onto K5. Only the 80 carry dead. Eggets in a 1 versus 4 manages to thwart the Baron play, but it costs them a ton of members.
And even interrupting the recalls here, Eggets is doing God's work at the moment, because Blue Whites can just move for the Infernal Dragon without any problem. I mean, that's a very late recall, interrupted Baron for 2 members. I feel like that should be a free Drake. I mean, 3 carries going for that dragon, it's super, super easy to take it down. And Starduster is not even moving.
Yeah, these teleports looked like they wanted to contest it somewhat, but as you said, they got there so early. They have 3 members. It is a free dragon, now Infernal Soul Point. So K5 cannot let they cannot let the next one go through.
Not at all. They need to make sure they will either fight for it or fight before the dragon spawns and just take it down if they manage to win it. But now that's a big amount of damage increase on the side of Blue Whites. 2 Infernal Drakes. That's if I'm correct, that's 6%. Huge. That is huge at this stage of the game, because the players are completing the 2nd, 3rd items. Well, everybody completed the 2nd item now, so they're going for the 3rd items. And
what is this?
That's huge. That's a sneaky Baron try, I would say. They didn't go for it. They got spotted. Abort mission.
I guess this is to force K5 away from the bot side tower, which most likely will fall anyway. Volux are just shoving the wave in. It is at an extremely low HP value. But K5 managed to buy themselves a ton more time. Infinity Edge finish for Crimson. Vantage almost getting the 3rd item. Probably going to be a Serylda. Crush has a Zonia, so now he has catch safety. Even if the buy manages to lock him down, can buy those extra few seconds to let his team catch up to where he is. And Blue Whites just can't get caught again.
Not really, not really. Snurby needs to make sure not overstepping. Oh, that's a nice amount of damage by the brand. Even that Afrush went for the Zonia 2nd item, he still has so much damage, and need to make sure that Blue White's avoiding that if they want to live. Okay, that's a 1v1, but it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I mean, level 15 Udyr against Starduster's level 13 Darius. You don't want to fight that, even if you are a big, strong Darius.
Ooh. Speaking of first getting possibly caught, that's a nice chunk taken down by Snorri. But looks forcing the flank as well. Dawning Shadow barely not able to finish the kill. And with the jungler this low on HP, Blue Whites can force themselves onto the Baron with only 4 members of K5 chasing them. This Baron will do a good bit of damage if they get hit by the newly added skill shots, but it's 800 HP secured by Blue Whites, and they want to fight as well. Vantage already dead without the death mark. Jones survives the initial burst, and K5 lose the critical fight and objective.
Not just the objective, as you said, the fight was lost as well, and now Blue Whites has got everything in their hands to crack up the base of K5. The way they won this Baron was just super fast and super efficient. As soon as they managed to catch the brand, you don't need to shut him down. He needed to back off because he had like 2% health. Then you just straight up run to Baron. We've seen how quickly they melted the Drake earlier. The Baron was pretty much the same. And playing Zed is really tough job when the enemy has got a Vi or even a Azir who can straight up interrupt after you use your death mark. Oh my god, Crimson just got...
Yeah, now that you're AD carrying on, as you need to defend against the Senna Ezreal siege that we mentioned earlier in the game, they may not have the Void Grubs, but they do have insane range to just take down the inhibitor tower, and K5 can't even get themselves on a flank to look for some sort of a retreating pick. Mid lane inhibitor down, and they have another wave coming down the bot side as Maloxa has already set that up, and wave clear without Crimson just looking awful for the side of K5. Second inhibitor tower now gone. Second inhibitor has fallen, and Blue Whites with one Baron looking to close out the game on the next push if K5 cannot find something on the map.
That's for sure. And the good thing for Blue Whites is they have pressure now on mid and bot lane both, going super minions into the side of K5's base, and the dragon approaching pretty fast, 20 seconds. It's not a setup, it's basically a dragon on a silver plate. Or a fight to win the game.
Both work. K5 still has good vision coverage of this approach if Blue Whites wants to go for the fight instead of the objective, but Snormi already chunking down most of the carries with the nice combo. Oh, Crimson needs the Dawning Shadow. K5 cannot take this fight. Their carries are way too low. Infernum Ultimate gets the front line a decent damage chunk down, but it's just no way for K5. They get every single member that's trying to escape. 40-second death time. It looks like Blue Whites has gotten themselves the game won.
That is for sure. Blue Whites just need to go get some minions, take down the two turrets. Beautiful fight. Once again, Zed had no chance to do some magic, and that will be a clean win for them.
And it is a clean late game end, not the cleanest in the early game. K5 gave them quite a run with the Zed surprise mid lane pick, but the finish, clean team manages to get themselves the positive scoreline of 2-1.
And with that said, K5 goes 1-3. I'm really curious how Blue Whites approach this game after seeing this draft, because it's not an ordinary a draft that we see usually. And yeah, it's a good game though. I enjoyed it.
Get used to it, because most of the games in NLC Division 2 are like this, certified bangers all the way through. We'll be taking a small break as we set up the interview with the support of Blue Whites. Igit will be joining us after this short break. And we are back. We should have the interview set up. Is this the... Oh, there we go. We are joined by the former weakest link of Blue Whites. Eggets, congratulations on the win. You did not look so weak this time around.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, well, I got to play my one trick, so it's easy to look good.
Yeah, so I've been, of course, following Blue Whites around as a Finnish person myself, and you have been cooking a little bit with your support picks from what I've noticed. You even pulled out a Pike recently, so how does it feel to play with this Blue Whites roster with Snurmi joining you down on the bot side of the map?
Definitely love playing with Snormi. He's too fucking... He's so good at the game. I'm sorry. He's insane, and I mean the rest of the roster is good as well, and you know, playing with like friends and stuff, so it's also a lot of fun.
That sounds pretty good. When you saw K5's team comp, and especially the Z pick, how did you approach the game? Did you have any special plans to shut him down to make sure he's not doing any cheeky moves?
I mean, the plan was just to play the double range into a failure trail, since they don't really have much to do against that, and they should naturally fall behind. And I just wanted to play through gaining a bot lead, and this edge shouldn't be an issue since I have exhaust, so in fights it's really hard for him to play, I think. And
That's
we have other peer like
understandable.
Azir ult and Vi ult, so it's very difficult there, I think.
That's understandable. And also, Carvis was telling about Snurmi as him being a prodigy. Also, the team is being full Finnish. How do you guys making sure that, you know, besides being friends and all that, keeping the professional environment as well?
I don't know, just I don't know if we are really taking that professionally, the environment, but
Really?
I mean,
Are there things where you don't take anything seriously, like in game, for example?
I mean,
where, you know,
yeah, for sure. There are moments, but then we are like, okay, let's focus on the game, guys. Like it's, you know,
Yeah.
we're laughing a bit too much here, so have to stop clowning around and win the game.
It's almost like we can see that little Snurmi constant thumbs up showing. It is definitely visible that you guys are having a ton of fun. Finally, we've had quite a few interviews here, and everyone seems to be heading into this Division 2 season quite confidently. What's the goal for Blue Whites here in this really, really unexpectedly stacked Division 2?
I think we are going 17-1. We are not dropping a game after yesterday's cringe loss. We are. I'm not gonna lose anymore. This is unacceptable, and we'll win every single game from this on. So better watch out.
Well, thank you so much, Eggets, for joining us for this quick interview. We'll be heading to a short break before we bring you game 2 of the inning G2 Hell versus Fourth Wall.
All right, thank you.
Welcome back to Division 2. We have Game 2 coming your way. It will be Fourth Wall against G2 Hell. And G2 Hell not having the best start for their season. A 0-4 down would be pretty hard to come back from coming into the later stages of the round robin.
That is for sure. They need to start winning games, even though they managed to make sure the game's going to really late game. They play very, very long matches. They need to somehow close them out. And this time around, against Fourth Wall, who are currently sitting in 2-1 stat, I feel like this will be a challenge.
It will be. And Fourth Wall is just... It's confusing how good and how bad they look at certain points. The first game we saw of them, they drafted a heavy late game style composition and just kind of got ran over. Didn't really get to play their composition at all. But then they started to figure out their style. They figured out what compositions they want to play. With Warrior having the 200 ping issue, playing from China, he has kind of defaulted his utility style junglers.
Is he still playing from China?
I think he is. Unless there's
That would
been
be interesting.
unless there's been an update on that situation, I'm always assuming he's still playing from China because it's a great story. But yeah, they've been finally figuring out their playstyle and getting some game wins as well. While G2, I'd love to see Kaltis on a late game AD carry. They've been playing things like Kalista, they've been playing things like Varus. That doesn't really work in these long 50-minute slugfests.
That is so true. That is so true. Should be something that relies on attack speed and like pure late game. I feel like G2 Hell could go for maybe a cheesy AD carry pick, something surprising. But I'm really curious if they want to go for it or they just want to make the game shorter, because for now, these are the two options. These are the two options that they should consider. How to make the game shorter and win before the enemy outscales.
That's one of the best advices I've ever heard anyone give to a team. Just win faster.
I mean, as you mentioned, if someone plays a Kalista or even the Varus, it can work in late game if you play him on hit Varus, for example. But with the lethality Varus, it's a bit harder, I feel like, because even though your piercing arrows can hurt the opponent, especially if they're not so tanky, it's still harder to execute than an on-hit Varus who just need protection and maybe some shielding and a bit of buff here and there.
Yeah, and again, G2 Hell's strong suit is team coordination. They have been playing together for ages, not with this exact roster, the mid lane now being different, but they have shown considerable improvement game after game when it comes to game plan, when it comes to laning, pretty much everything. So hopefully they get their so ever sought after win soon. But Fourth Wall, they are improving at a very similar pace. So I'm still looking at the top side matchup because Victa against Lysia will be quite interesting when it comes to champion pools. There's quite a few shared picks there.
Yes, but are they going to be interesting matchup? Because the champion pool starts with tanks, maybe a bit more tanks, and maybe Aatrox here and there. But this is the question: if they're just going to hit each other for long minutes and none of them will fall, or are they playing some bruisers that can spice things up?
Yeah, that's to be. Also, we haven't seen Victor Shen yet, so that's something to always look forward to. If there is a game, he will surely be bringing that out. Oh, I just realized what my producer was trying to tell me. Okay, I'm multitasking here a little bit. Otherwise, for this matchup, for Warrior, do you expect him still to be picking these heavy utility tanks like the Maokai and the Rel?
It's a very good question, to be honest, because if someone plays with 200 MS, that's just way too high, and it's not even a small lag, you know. So in that case, if you want to play high skill ceiling champions, that would be a really challenging task to pull off. But if you just play something that requires very low mechanics, then it probably for the better good. I mean, for the greater good, you know, and it's for the teams. I think if he's having this high ping, then just stick to the tanky job and set up good team fights for the team. Maybe just give relevant information for the team, and that way, I feel like it's a bigger chance of winning than just going for something like even a Brand or a Lilia. It could be challenging because you overstep just a tiny bit and you get punished.
Also, Toxygen has been looking quite good with the Orianna. So if you have a utility jungler that can provide engage tools like the Rel, like the Maokai, you just get a free ball delivery every single time. And as we head into draft, Fourth Wall are predicting the G2 Hell will go for the faster game plan style and ban out Kalista. And there goes Pipe's Draven as per usual.
Straight away, the Draven against Pipey was banned out. No Lilia for Sheena. Okay, well, you mentioned Toxi played Orianna, and I feel like Hwei is one of those control mages that is just better than any other control mage at the moment. So it's worth a ban, for sure.
I visited Kaltis' stream the other day, and she was playing a ton of Hwei, so I'm surprised to see that banned out from their side. Also taking out the Azir from Toxilin, the Orianna open, so if Fourth Wall wants to continue on their last two victorious game plans, they are free to do so on Blue 1.
Also, the Maokai is free. Well, you know what? Stick to the Orianna. That might be easier, and also Warrior will have different options for the jungle. G2 Help picks up the Ashe, most likely. That would be a good flex pick for the bot lane. Either side, support or AD carry.
Interestingly, I think we haven't seen too many Ashe picks in our Division 2. It's been mostly Varus and the Aphelios that's been showing up. Oh!
There we go. Okay.
Yes, there we go. Lima, Oscar, Lima, and we are off. Let's go.
There we go.
How does this work? How do hats work? There we go.
Yeah, it's a bit challenging when you have the headphones on, but still fine. Still fine.
No, it's
Looking
not.
good.
It works fine. So, Corki, my favorite champion to play in the mid lane, and Fourth Wall instantly responds with the Aphelios lock-in to match the Ashe pick.
They have Aphelios and Maokai as well on the side of Fourth Wall. Now, if you look at AP, AD damage, they covered both. They have Engage if they need to. They have Tankiness, so they don't really need any more champions.
Oh, no.
I mean, at the end of the day, they are just too broken.
So, remember the Ezreal Senna lane we just saw? This is basically the same thing.
It's very similar. The only difference is with Ashe, you can engage more often than with the Senna. And also, I feel like you can hold a bit bigger range until at least around 35 minutes. So yeah, it's very similar on the side of G2 Hell that we've just seen in our previous game.
More utility, less damage is basically the gist of it. But from Snurmi's play, I expect that the damage is not needed when you have a Corki paired up with Ezreal. This is just pairing up to be a huge poke comp from G2 Hell. Now they just need the front line from top and jungle, and they're trying to match up to it, banning out the Udyr, probably another top lane ban coming in, just to make sure that if they want to pick up something like the Ornn for Elysia, you don't get a horrible matchup.
They went for the Nocturne ban, which is quite interesting, especially because we get to see the Maokai already, so that Nocturne could have gone for top lane, I guess.
So what I'm worried about here is
or Maokai support.
If G2 Hell goes for Ornn here, Victor has a free Aatrox pickup.
That is true, and that lane will get interesting, especially because Aatrox can punish Ord in the early levels. However, we still need to see what G2 Hell is picking into the jungle.
Whoa!
And it's not the Ornn. It's not the Ornn.
Could still see the Aatrox coming to this matchup. K'Sante, probably the best blind pick and one of the best top laners still on the patch. Incredibly dominant, but speak of incredibly dominant, he shall appear. Aatrox locked in for Victor, opting into this matchup. Even we on the caster desk knew this was coming. All that remains to be seen is what is the mid lane pick. Wait, but the support pick, what am I saying?
Either the support or the jungle was the question, because the Notchen ban most likely came from G2 Hell because they thought the Maokai could go to support position. And I was waiting for something that has got hook. Either a Blitzcrank or the Nautilus is great for fourth wall here.
Well,
was it locked in?
That is locked in. Sheena gets her main champion for the first time in NLC Division 2.
And to be fair, seeing Rek'Sai is something I was not expecting when I woke up today.
That is incredibly aggressive. That is one of the most aggressive champions in the jungle you can play.
And you know, great thing about G2 Hell's team comp with this Rek'Sai is that they have two champions that will easily follow the Ashe arrow. So with that Ashe, you can just engage whenever you want, and they have the Rek'Sai and they have the K'Sante. You can just dash forward, jump forward, and straight up shut down whoever gets hit, even with the Maokai.
Another really underrated thing about Rek'Sai in this sort of a competition where you are aiming to be a little bit more poke copy is the W radar. When you are underground, if you have no vision of, let's say, a Dragon Pit or a Baron Pit area, you can just start pinging to your poking champions. They are over there. Just throw abilities that way. Throw in Hawkshot there, and they get to get full vision, full information of where the enemy is moving, and play around that. So even if this Rek'Sai falls off a cliff going into the later stages of the game, it will still be utility, frontline, and information G2 Hell gets to play with.
Definitely, and we can say that information is king in League of Legends. So I really like what G2 have put together here. However, if we look at fourth wall, their front-to-back teamfight possibilities are pretty much endless. I mean, they have Maokai Nautilus as their main tanks, also followed by Aatrox, who can be a real threat if he gets access to the backline. And obviously with Nautilus's ultimate, it's easy to provide that.
It only takes one good shockwave to instantly end the lives of the G2 Hell composition. And with Maokai Flash Wing in with the Twisted Advance, it's going to be hard to stop. Someone will probably die if that happens at the Orianna 2 to 3 item mark. But before that, it's all Sheena. Sheena has to take control of the Rift.
Yeah, that's how I feel like as well. Unless some magic happens on top side, because we tend to underestimate Aatrox's laning phase. But let's see what happens.
We'll get to see that when we go into game 2, about to start for the day between G2 Hell and Fourth Wall. There we go! And, yeah, this top lane matchup, as you said, some magic could be happening there.
Especially because we've seen Aatrox's beating up their opponents just 1v1 after hitting level 6. Also, we've seen K'Sante's one-shotting people at level 6. So, you know, I'm curious if the junglers want to interfere with this matchup, or they just leave it to the 1v1.
There's some options, but I'm just going to be just honest here. Mid lane is going to be a snooze fest. Sometimes Corki causes that.
For sure.
I'm used to it, but if they catch Toxi overextended, there can be a kill there, but I expect Sheena to be spending most of her time down on this bot side of the map, where Kaltis and Columbo will try and harass this Aphelios as much as they can.
And they will have great options. I mean, Columbo just went for the shield as the summoner spell for its Ashe. We've seen Ashe over the weekend in the LEC, and that shield would have been life-saving in certain situations. So I really like that summoner spell choice in this case. Also, if she gets hooked by the Nautilus, that doesn't mean it's an automatic kill, especially because of the rune choice. Easy trades when it comes to this Ashe.
Pipey and Fabio are gonna see G2's bot lane approach from the bot side of the map, and you see the careful pings come down on the mini map. They know that something is up. Sheena taking the bot side jungle quite quickly as well. Toxie already rotating over to the river to set up an early ward, but Shah has the level advantage. It's to be careful on that side of the rift. But yeah, this should be a pretty clean split map situation for G2.
As soon as they spot the Rek'Sai, it should be. But will they spot her on time?
There's a ward on
Okay.
the
Yep.
Krug, so
Yep.
they have it.
They just pinged that Sheena is behind the bot lane. Now the question is, what will Warrior do? Because he's moving to the bot side, but he doesn't have
What?
anything in that jungle. I mean, look at the Maokai's place right now. That would be a big of an issue.
They shot the Hawk shot, so they know the entire top side of the map is clear. They're pinging the top side jungle. They think that the cross map is successful and Warrior is taking the top side of the map, but in fact, he has rotated over. And with Fabio soon hitting level 2, they can go for a play. No wards placed by Caltus and Colombo. So as this wave crashes, they're certainly going to commit to this play.
Ooh.
Flash forward! Colombo is the target. Heal away! It's been found out, but the rotation is just too fast. G2 retreat away, and now Warrior is in big, big trouble.
That was beautiful disengage by the G2 Hell bot lane. And the way Warrior came was definitely caught them as a surprise. However, at this point, Warrior needs to find a way to get some money for that Maokai. Only 12 CS. Look at the Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai is already back here on the bot lane. However, doubling the amount of CS that the opponent's jungler has.
And Sheena even gets the reset. Double longsword in her inventory compared to Warrior, who on 16 CS still isn't able to recall. He's just wandering around, probably trying to get to his Raptors for kind of a second part of his clear. It will be leveled up,
Yeah.
so the damage required to take down this camp will be quite a bit extra.
A bit more, definitely, while Sheena can just go for the first time clear on the top side of G2 Hell. However, as you mentioned, the laning phase is definitely one of the calmer ones when it comes to the solo lanes this time around. Even the top laners are just not going for the all-in, but we got to see some nice little actions on the bot lane, and I feel like we will see more here as the game progresses into the first set of neutral objectives.
Warrior still hasn't recalled, by the way. He is taking the Krugs that have respawned, and there's just nothing he can do on the map. The level 1 split the map play from G2 Hell has bore fruit, and they can pretty much commit to whatever objective they want to. Sheena will be able to 1 versus 1 this Maokai easily.
Definitely. Now the question is, will Sheena try that? Because at this stage, 5.5 minutes into the game, she can just go for the first dragon, as it was pinged and started. Fabio, however, holding the Rek'Sai very soon.
The Rek'Sai has been spotted, but what are they gonna do about it? I don't think there is any
I mean,
way that Flopple can contest this.
They could just switch and they could decide, you know what, we will take the grubs in return. That's absolutely fine for now. And I feel like by the movement of Warrior, that's what we see at the moment.
But does Warrior have the damage to take these fast enough? G2 should be aware that... Okay, never mind. We already see one of them taken. Definitely has the damage with the Bummy Cinder, strong tank item. And with Victor holding lane priority. We already talked about this in draft. This is a very favorable matchup for the Aatrox in the early game. They're as easy as the Dragon was for G2 Hell.
For sure. And now that the teams just switched or swapped objectives, they can go back to farming and they can go back to scaling at this point. And I really like to see that we were talking about, okay, that wasn't all in, but just for trading purposes. So we talked about, does G2 Hell want to make the game quicker or they want to progress into the late game? Well, with this Corki and Ezreal, I feel like they do have their late game insurance.
I feel like with this composition, the answer is yes. They're playing a hard, aggressive early game with Rek'Sai. Or soon hitting level 6, they can even go for some sort of dive play onto the Aphelios Nautilus if they get a nice angle. The Exhaust will make it a bit more difficult. But again, Red's buff has spawned and stolen away.
That is just brutal. Poor Warrior is getting robbed
suffering.
at this stage. It's robbery at this stage. I mean, he's walking down like a nice, cute little ant. He wants to go for war, and there's nothing in his jungle.
And Sheena does have the level 6 now, so a possible bot side play if Corki rotates over with the package. Doesn't have it yet, though, so... the timer is soon there. Probably gonna be saving it for the second dragon, though.
Yeah,
Just-
most likely.
Just keep it calm. They have the small gold advantage coming in from the jungle. As long as they don't bleed out from the top side CS differential, they're good to go for the mid game.
That is for sure. And when it comes to mid game, I'm really curious. And I can ask you, since you are a Corki main after this. Yeah, this is over. So, what do you think is Corki's bigger power spike? Is it 2 or 3 items?
It depends.
Which is better? Reaching 2 items or 3 items? I mean, obviously 3 items make you stronger, but you know.
The answer is more mana. Depending on when you get it, that's when Corki like completely turns on the heat. You can go for a ton of different things. You can go for something like an Essence Reaver, you can go for Trinity Force, you can go, depending on how much you can auto attack in the game, different builds. Even Eclipse has shown its face. Malignance, of course, great item. Whatever you build, when you get more mana, you go Manamune first item now to get faster. That's when you will be spiking hard.
Alright, and that is pretty close for Shah on the mid lane here. And since it's a first strike Corki, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Malignance with Eclipse build. As having those 2 items combined, basically you proc the Eclipse and Malignance with just 1 ultimate hit. 1 little rocket.
And... well, that's still quite a bit away, since we're 10 minutes into the game. What is not quite a bit away is the second dragon. 130 for that to spawn, and while G2 hasn't found the aggressive plays yet with the Rek'Sai, fourth wall probably are looking to fight fairly close to their first items.
Yeah, most likely they can try to go for a fight if they manage to get nice engage by the Maokai and the Nautilus ultimates. I would say these 2 spells are definitely the key to win a team fight if you're fourth wall. Also, can we get to see Toxi just moving with the jungler and maybe holding hands and trying to catch someone? Because that's my biggest issue right now. Orianna can basically blow up anyone as long as everything is given to her, you know? Good position and maybe safe positions.
So we'll get to see them eventually. Toxin needs to be rotating over. The arrow has landed on the pipe. Aphelios already chunked down, but the Full-Light Vigil gives him a ton of shurikens to play with. Toxin teleporting in, keeping Kaldis and Cobalt alive. First blood secured by Pipey on the clapback. Sheena CC, but here's the package. Here's Sheena. Lima, Lima. I'm getting a double kill. Warrior and Toxi full retreat onwards to us. They're tower. One hit more is not there. Caltus flashing. No, never mind, just hopping forward for it. But a fight win by G2 Hell.
A fight win by G2 Hell, but it was really close, and they needed the Corki package to turn it around. Shot it great after arriving into the fight, and just finishing off the two low health player on the side of fourth wall. Even though the start looked great because of the Maokai ultimate rooting down Sheena, I felt like this will be a clean fourth wall win. Orianna arriving with the TP looked good, but the damage was not quite enough to follow up the damage after shutting down the Rek'Sai. And now G2 Hell is on the Dragon.
They want to get it, but there's a ton of fight left in fourth wall. Can they get the key targets though? Pipey getting focused down by Sheena, already half HP. Teleport coming in from Victor as Warrior in the back lines trying to peel the enemies away, steals away the Dragon. Rooted up, Caltus has to retreat. Lysia now teleporting in, has popped the Ghost, but with no support and health low. G2 Hell struggling to keep the fight going. Victor and Pipey have to respect the enemy skill a bit. Caltus has been caught out by Fabio. Toxi helping the Nautilus catch the AD carry. Fourth wall clapping back in style. They get the Dragon, they get a few kills, and they still want to keep going. Columbus respawned, but the shockwave only hits Sheena. Columbus survives that turnaround barely. I don't even. It's a fourth wall win, but the gold still hasn't moved. Make that stop.
Yeah, it's time to breathe now. Slowly, but keep breathing, keep breathing. It's not over just yet. I enjoyed that. For 10 minutes, we didn't see any action. And then within 3 minutes, the teams just decided, you know what? Let's put those gloves up and let's start fighting. Let's start hitting each other. Even the top laners joined this fight, and I feel like because Sir Victor managed to came just about 5-6 seconds earlier, that made a huge difference for fourth wall. They were even winning the fight before, but after Sir Victor just arrived, fourth wall just decided, you know what, we can push forward, we can push even longer, and Lysia got a bit overstayed, I feel like, as well as Cultist just walked back into a dark jungle where she got caught by Fabio. So credits to fourth wall arriving to the Drake, and basically it was a good answer to G2 Hell's first action, because they were lacking some very important spells like the Ashe ultimate in this dragon fight.
They're looking for Shaw on just Valkyries away for now, but another objective has spawned on the map while Columba is the one pushing the tower with Caltus on the bot side of the map. The Herald, we already saw in the previous game, can be used to easily crack an outer tower. So while first turret does go over to G2 Hell, fourth wall responding with global gold and the eventual playmaking opportunity.
And we've seen these trades before. It's quite good for actually both teams, because G2 Hell can't really contest this Herald. They decided, you know what, we can take the first tower, that's a decent amount of gold, and if we manage to shut down the Herald before it charges twice, then it's great. But it's a quick Herald use.
They want to crack the top side tower, and they can even keep this push going with Pipey's current weapons.
And this is very important. Like, it's a good trade if you give up the Herald, but it's gonna charge once more. Oh no!
Outside, they dove Victor's Aatrox, losing Columba in the process, but they keep up the pressure, netting themselves a kill for pretty much nothing, and G2 Hell somehow come out ahead of this trade.
Yes, they did, because it was just a tower kill, a quick execute for Columba.
There's a huge flank coming in from Sheena and Caltus. Fourth wall have to start retreating away. Shah and Lysia chasing after fourth wall. The combo is there. 1-for-1 traded with all the ultimate spent. Did Warrior ult the wrong way?
I feel like it looked like. But you know what? We take those 1-for-1. This time around, it was actually 1 kill for 1 kill, not like on the bot lane that we've seen before, where Sir Victor fell and the Ashe was just executed. But look at the gold graph. I mean, it's completely even. 16 minutes, no difference between the teams. We can see the Rek'Sai is looking pretty strong, over 1k lead compared to the Maokai, but also there is decent amount of gold on the Aatrox compared to the K'Sante. So these are the two bigger discrepancies, I would say. Otherwise, completely even.
Yeah, the only thing that helps Fourth Wall when comparing is Maokai doesn't really need the gold. He provides utility no matter how many items he has. He provides CC, he provides peel, and the ever so critical ultimate to patch people out with. What the G2 Hell has, though, is Corki Package. Level 11 now, so rockets are coming in fast.
And they are painful, very close. Shard to complete the second item, which is gonna be the Muramona, hopefully. And we've got a dragon on the menu.
Dragon has been started, and Fourth Wall, they're gonna have a rough time contesting this dragon with all this poke flying towards them. Corki Package, if they are even attempting a steal, can be devastating to the back line, so they're just kind of stuck trying to find a pick, and they found a depth charge onto Calcis, finishes off the kill. They get the mid-outer tower. Dragon's been lost, but now Fourth Wall has a chance to go in. They found Shah. Victor ulting in, has the Profane Hydra, so all the damage will stick hard. But Sheena in the back lines finds the enemy jungler. Now Victor in a 1 versus 3 cannot win the fight. Killed by Lysia. Fourth Wall separated, finally regrouping. But is it too late? They are trying to chase G2 Hell down, taking down the top lane. The fight's probably over, but we once again pretty much trade evenly on objectives and kills.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, okay, mid lane tier 1 was taken down by Fourth Wall, but at what cost? They lost their jungler, they lost their top laner, and this fight was so split apart that we've seen Fourth Wall had basically 1 member's going into this fight, and again 1 member, and that way G2 Hell at least got back something, even though they lost their AD carry early in the fight. Cultist got caught. I feel like that was a surprise catch, especially with the Orianna ultimate having just at the edge when it caught the Ezreal. The hook was also beautiful by Fabio, just closing out this fight.
Macarian, I don't really want to say this, but looking at how things are going so far, G2 Hell so far in Division 2 have the highest average game time up to like 40 or 45 minutes, and we may have another one on our hands.
You know what? I'm all into these type of games. This is why we watch League of Legends, you know, where it goes over 35 minutes. That's where the nail-biting part begins. For us, at least for viewers. And I'm not against it at all.
Well, it's a battle of focus if it goes there, but for now, if we look at lane priority, Lysia, even with the Frozen Heart, still struggling to hold her own against Victor's Aatrox for now. However, the catch potential on both teams is so high with Rek'Sai and Maokai. Tox is afraid of going further than his own tower on the top side of the map.
And it's completely understandable. I mean, Orianna doesn't really have any defensive opportunities right now, but she has 200 gold shutdown on her head, so Orianna shouldn't really die at this point of the game, as well as Aphelios. If G2 Hell somehow catches those two, then that's basically the gold difference equalized.
And it's one of these awkward game states where the Baron has spawned, no more grubs on the map, no more Herald on the map. You just kind of farm and wait for power spikes and look if the enemy makes a mistake. You see Sheena hovering, Shaw, making sure there's no offensive plays being made top side. And once the time comes, you go set up vision at the dragon and look for another insane skirmish like the ones we've seen before.
Yeah, because this is the stage where the teams want to complete, well, the players want to complete the second items. And if you look at Ezreal, just finished the Manamune. Also, Corki finished the second item. Very close for Sheena on the side of G2 Hell to complete the Black Cleaver as well. And the same goes for Fourth Wall. They just have their AD carry on 2 items. Pipey completed the Infinity Edge. As well as, if you look at the jungle or mid lane, just a few hundred golds away. Once that's done, both teams will think, you know what, I am strong now. We are strong now. We can beat the other one. And that's where the fun begins, at least for us.
It's going to be all up to the poke. Shaw having the Muramana already, Kaltus doesn't have hers. But the Corki with the Muramana Eclipse hurts like a truck if she hits a squishy.
That's for sure. And that's where dodging is crucial. However, against control mages, and in this case, I would call Corki a control mage, especially with this build, you get tired at one point and you can't dodge every single rocket.
Well, the flank potential is there. They're looking for Toxie. No Corki package either for this dragon up in 20 seconds. Does G2 Hell have the damage to play for Baron? I am not 100% sure, but Fourth Wall don't want to take the risk. They're almost forcing their way for an engage. Victor chunked down, and this is the lethality Aatrox, so he will not be regenerating that HP anytime soon unless he gets a huge burst with his ultimate on. Warrior and friends just zoning, keeping mid prio for Pipey and Victor to steal this dragon away. Pipey with a proper rotation of weapons melts the dragon, and the package now used by Shah pretty much forces G2 Hell to look for a play.
Yep, it was a bit late use of the package because the backing was interrupted by a little seedling by the Maokai, so Shah just missed out on the opportunity, and G2 have missed out on the opportunity to go for a dragon contest in this case. And as you said, it's they either forced to make a play, or they just given a free turret on top side because Fourth Wall doesn't want to do anything until Corki has got the package.
But the tower is traded over on the bot side, so the Fourth Wall perfectly happy to basically trade 1-for-1. And Shaw, again, with the package, just running around trying to look for any sort of pick. Warrior spotted out in the mid lane, but Fourth Wall's just not having any of the powerful G2 Hell composition at this moment.
Of course they don't. I mean, who wants to meet a Corki with a package? That Corki could just mess things up. I mean, we've seen that in the early stage of the game at the bot lane, and Fourth Wall learned from it. Oh, that's a good
Tox is way too far up, even with the Prey Seeker missing. Free kill and a shutdown for Shah. That was the 200 gold we mentioned earlier. And Corki getting a kill. Always good for G2.
That's great for G2. Especially, okay, I was thinking they could have forced the Baron here, but they decided not to. Just reset, go for some shopping, finish off a few items, maybe some little components. Lost chapter for Shah. Getting closer to the Malinen's 3-item insanely strong power spike. So yeah, this catch was great. The gold went to probably the best player for this cause. And now Fourth Wall need to reconsider how are they approaching the game in the next few minutes.
Altis and Shaw keeping the approach the same for now. Just trying to chip down this mid tower. You can't really approach a Maokai
Nope.
defending the tower with flash up and full cooldowns. Instead, they just keep the Baron control. It's just in such an awkward position where you barely don't have the DPS to force the issue, and your side lane isn't strong enough to threaten possible split push.
No, and the thing is, because Lysia is scaling and just finished 2 items, I feel like they don't even want to consider split pushing. They just want to keep up the pressure around the Baron, which was, well, I'm not saying it was started, but the Baron just dealt a little amount of damage on the 2 tanks. So basically, G2 Hell want to stay close to the Baron. They want to play for the Baron because as soon as they win a team fight, they have 3 AD carries. That would be very easy to just go through the turrets with Baron. And that's what they want to go for right now. However, Fourth Wall.
Fourth Wall?
They started it.
They have started it, and they have the setup to go for a turnaround. Otherwise, it's a dangerous 50-50, considering the enemy has a Rek'Sai who has easy access to the Baron Pit. Not if Fabio finds the way into the back line, but there's no follow-up. The Death Charge has not found anyone except Kaltes splashed onto my warrior. 1-for-1 traded, but that's the 80 carry dead. Shah still the key member alive. Shockwaved up, takes half HP of damage, but now all cooldowns burned. Fourth Wall have to retreat away from the objective, and it's another clean trade between the teams.
Again, 1-for-1, and none of the teams getting far ahead. They can't go for Baron this time around. Both junglers are staying alive after this fight. So just reset and prepare for our 5th dragon of the game. That could be a potential option for both teams. Now, Corki just completed the Malignance. So I want to see if G2 Hell consider Baron as an option right now, and maybe they just run straight to it instead of going for the dragon. Because for them, I feel like it's more convenient. They can take it down easier than Fourth Wall.
And if not the Baron, they can for certain play a whole lot more aggressive, because Shah will be chunking down health bars like no other. Look at that!
Oh, look at that. That's beautiful and brutal in the same time.
Now with the dragon spawning, preventing the Ocean Soul from Fourth Wall is absolutely key for G2 Hell, because a poke comp on an Ocean Soul, not happy poke comp. And with them keeping the pressure up in this choke point, looks like they are able to finish it up pretty confidently. The Marka ultimate used, but they can't really find their way in onto anyone else but Lysia, and with Kaltes popping the ultimate, health bars. Hello, Victor! What was that? Just flashes over the wall, and that's another carry gone. Columba takes a huge chunk. Lysia has been deleted, and out of nowhere, Fourth Wall finds another angle.
Beautiful flank by Sir Victor. Coming in clutch, shutting down first the Ezreal, using the flash. That was beautiful for Q3. And honestly, at this point, not just taking the dragon, but taking the Baron, Fourth Wall will feel the taste of victory. They just need to basically play it to the book now.
The Baron may be a small overextension, though. Sure, they have the Shockwave still, but Victor, Pipey, Fabio, and Warrior all expend their ultimates, and Lysia has to teleport up. They already get the Ashe respawn as well, and this is not fastest Baron take in the universe. Oh, no. It's still decently
fast enough. Yeah, it's fast enough. Plus, they can zone out.
Oh, well, if the enemy jungler is dead, I guess there's no worry. Package from Shah coming in, but there's just no fighting this. Lysia just has to watch in horror as the Baron dies, and Fourth Wall secure 2 key objectives in a row.
Yeah, when this whole Baron shebang started, I was looking at the Aphelios and I was hoping his weapons are way too good to shred the Baron. Well, the weapons were running out, but that doesn't mean that the team was running out, and Sir Victor decided, you know what, we can just zone out the Rek'Sai together with the Orianna, and that was a great job, just blasting Sheena, and she was sent back to base while the Baron was taken down. Great job by Fourth Wall. Now their lead is extended to a point where they get control over the map.
Just, what a turnaround. It felt like G2 Hell has been in control for most of this match, all the way from level 1 due to that invade play. But with the power of the lethality Aatrox, no one on G2 feels safe anymore.
Not at all. The thing is, as soon as Aatrox appears, all the 3, even 4 champions besides K'Sante, I feel like they can just get caught at any time, and even 2 Qs are more than enough for Victor to get rid of any members on the opponent team.
But how does G2 Hell defend against this Baron up team now? Sure, they have the Corki wave clear, but eventually the Ocean Soul will be a threat.
The Ocean Soul is more than a threat at this point. As you said, they have a poke team comp with Ezreal, Ashe, and Corki. Now, just having 2 Ocean Drakes, that's a lot of extra sustain, extra health regen for fourth wall. And the Dragon approaching in 2 minutes, and the Baron buff is still up for another minute. So that, okay.
Huge arrow.
There needs to be a catch.
They need to kill Toxi, but they can't reach him. Lizzie in the front line as a solo member just can't hold on. And fourth wall will continue to siege as Victor this entire time pressuring the mid wave, takes down the inhibitor turret. And now G2 Hell has been split up once again. Need to somehow defend against this push, but fourth wall may have hit the critical mass of power spikes to just keep this going.
And they can go for more. The Baron is still up for another minion wave at least. And with that, they can possibly try to pressure two. Oh, that was a good hook.
Shot's been caught. Moonlight Vigil with the Marut gun is enough to take the Corki down. That's the main carry of the team now off the rift for a good 50 seconds. One inhibitor will fall off, one auto attack, and fourth wall cracking the base of G2 Hell, who tried to play for the long game, but the macro and rotations from fourth wall just looking so clean and efficient.
That was great movement by fourth wall, just catching G2 Hell players one by one. Wait a second.
They want to go for this, interrupting the recalls, but they have found the entire front line. None of the carries are there, and Victor just easily takes Sheena down. Flash hook lands onto Caltes. Another carry dead. Pipe's unstoppable. And with those 2 additional kills and the mini wave crashing from the top side, they may try to get the rest of the structures as well. Lysia, Shah column, but only one's left to defend as Victor eats a bunch of damage, but with it all out, Lysia, you may not want to get the Aatrox further up into your team's face. Pipey flashes forward, double kill. It's everyone dead. Shockwave to finish off the ace, and fourth wall have done and secured the game.
Fourth wall will end this game after Sir Victor arriving with the TP. All they wanted is just taking a good shot, go to the base, but instead they take down the Nexus and winning in style.
It looked so good for G2 Hell once again, until a few key mistakes happened, a few catches that shouldn't have happened, turn the game all the way around, and fourth wall clean it up for a impressive performance of 3-1.
Yeah, it looked pretty good for themselves, and the way they just started to roll that snowball effect after mid game, I felt like there's no coming back. You know, after that dragon fight, it was just it felt like it was so over. Even though the poke composition was there for G2 Hell, I felt like the damage was just not enough, especially because the 2 Ocean Drakes.
And yeah, it's just a clean, objective-based performance from fourth wall once again, off of the very bread and butter front-to-back team fight composition with a ton of catch potential. We'll be taking a short break as we set up the interview where Sir Victor from fourth wall will be joining us for a short interview. We'll be right back. And welcome back. We are joined by the top player of Fourth Wall, Sir Victor, on that victorious performance. Welcome back to the interview desk.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a great game. It was really fun, actually.
Yeah. First of all, I've been following you for quite some time now throughout the NLC divisions, whether that be in Division 3 or Aurora or wherever. And I've always known you as a bit of a weak side gamer with tanks and Shen that you're so famous for. But here on this Fourth Wall roster, you've somehow become the strong side Chad with Aatrox with a monster performance here. How does it feel like to finally get to carry these games?
I mean, I'm still technically not strong side because like I'm playing 1v1, right? But yeah, I mean, we really like. I really like playing Aatrox top, and I know that my team will just win everywhere, and then I will just win top, and then we will just like beat everyone in team fight. So yeah, I mean, it feels really good, and I think we're finally as a team on the same page. So it feels really good now to play actually.
Nice one. The game started very slowly in the first 10 minutes. There was no kill at all, but G2 had approached the jungle quite aggressively. How did you keep your head cool, and what was the team's plan going into the mid game when you saw the strong approach by the Rek'Sai?
So Warrior is a very smart jungler, and he also like knows how to play versus basically everything. So I mean, he said what Rek'Sai was gonna do level 1, and then we saw that they were invading with how they were playing. So we just warded the trucks, we saw exactly what they were doing, and we just knew that like even if they have quirky scaling, we knew that if it goes late game, we just win the game anyway because we have I mean Aatrox scales very well into enemy team, and we have pipe enough healers. We just 1v9 every single game in this league. So we just played it slow, and we outplayed them basically.
That's really nice. I like the confidence. Now, a question for you personally. Aatrox on lethality build or Aatrox on tankier bruiser style of build, and why?
I like both. I think I've played both as well. I think I mean my favorite is the lethality build. Like yeah, I saw Kingen do it in LTK, do the profane Hydra into like Series Edge of Night. And I mean, you just I think one team fight I killed Esper in like 2 Qs or something like that. Like Q1 and then flash Q3 and she got one shot. It's a bit unlucky. Like well, how can I play? It's for sure the retarded bit is more fun.
And as you said, you guys are looking way more confident now compared to the first game we saw on stream where you guys went for the hyperscaling that didn't really work out with the Zac and everything. How is the team feeling now? Now you've faced off against 4 different teams. You are secured on the top half of the standings on 3 and 1. Are you going to keep this going, or do you see challenges ahead going against the stronger teams like Gauss?
I mean, we're pretty confident. I think we know that we can be the best players in the league, and we know that we can win it for sure. There are good teams. I think. I mean, the strongest team from the games I watched has been maybe Rishgang, and 42 Gaming looks quite strong. I'm not scared. Like I'm not worried at all, to be honest. I mean, we lost to Rishgang, but I think next time we face them, we'll beat them for sure.
Well, great to hear. Again, congratulations on the win against G2. Hell, we'll be going to a short break as we switch out casters and bring you 2 more games of NLC Division 2.